Why does overeating feel almost impossible to stop? In 2025, it's estimated that there's 2.5 times more overweight and obese people than there are underweight in the world. Which is crazy if we look at the entire timeline of the human race and compare all of the years we've been starving until now. But why is this? I mean, we don't have to look very far to find someone to blame. For years now, we've known the fast food industry to be scientifically engineering their foods to be as addictive as possible. But I was shocked to find out just how extreme they take this. Here's an interview clip I found from reporter Michael Moss, who explains the process behind finding new flavors of Dr. Pepper. Check this out.
I start off the book with a legend in the industry his name is Howard Moskowitz, trained in mathematics and experimental psychology at Harvard. And he has designed, he calls them engineered, some of the icons in the grocery store. And he walked me through his recent creation of a soda for Dr. Pepper, where he had to create a new flavor. He had to take 61 separate formulations, each slightly varying from the next, and then subject those to 3,000 consumer taste testings, threw it all into his computer, did his regression analysis to come up with the very perfect one formula that was guaranteed to fly off the shelves. And he did it.
That's a test size of roughly 183,000 people just to find the perfect flavor. But it's not just the sodas. Can you recall a time when you ordered fast food, you open the bag and you're hit with a whiff of salt and fried food? You take that first bite of a chip and it's perfect. Crunchy on the outside, soft in the middle, and you just can't stop yourself from having more. What you just bit into is the result of decades of research and millions in government funding to find what the food industry calls the bliss point. It's the perfect combination of salt, sugar, and fat to completely overwrite your brain's satiety signal. Essentially meaning your brain can't help but overeat. But it's not just the food itself designed to pull you in. Back in the 1970s and 80s, McDonald's launched an advertising campaign called McDonaldland.
Get yourself ready for a trip through McDonaldland.
But it wasn't just an advertisement. It was a full-blown marketing strategy designed to target children through the television. They built an entire world around Ronald McDonald and his friends to help create a sense of trust and friendship that would resonate with kids. On the surface, it might have seemed like harmless entertainment, but here's the catch. Children's brains are incredibly open to influence. These ads didn't just entertain kids. They built an emotional bond between the brand McDonald's and the kids watching. A bond that was designed to stick with those kids for years to come. And while this tactic did eventually face backlash for its manipulative nature, the fact still remains. These brands understand human psychology and they'll do anything they can to drive sales. If you think that's far-fetched, just consider how defensive you'd get if someone criticized your favorite TV show as a kid. I know I'd get defensive if someone started criticizing SpongeBob. But these are only the tip of the iceberg. It spans all the way from blatant lying on food labels to putting the most eye-catching and addictive products right at eye level at the supermarket, so that's the first thing we see. There's no denying these food industry titans only want one thing: to hook us and keep us hooked. But if the fast food companies and big corporations are to blame, where does that leave us? I think it's probably time to admit I've never actually had a problem with overeating. Yes, as a kid I was pretty pudgy and I did drink a few too many sodas and had a few too many burgers, but hey, can you blame me? Fortunately, I didn't bring that appetite into my later years, and if anything, I actually went the other way. But while I wasn't hooked on fast food, I did have other vices. Common ones like gaming and weed. And while there is an argument to be made that they are completely different situations, I disagree. While they are different on the outside, they serve the exact same purpose internally. If I look back on my life, the point I was deepest in my vices and worst mentally was when I was working a job I didn't like, in a living condition I didn't like, doing habits I knew were bad for me, but still doing them anyway. Now at the time, it was easy enough to blame the work for being what it was, blame the people around me for my problems and complain of how tired I was. But I had about as much luck at changing my environment as you do at changing how these big corporations sell their food. It doesn't matter if you're ordering McDonald's at 11 o'clock, scrolling TikTok until midnight, or frying your brain with dope. All vices serve one purpose: as a form of escape for some sort of mental struggle we're enduring. There's 10 negative emotions that we deal with: stress, overwhelming workload, deadlines, or responsibilities; Anxiety, fear of failure and uncertainty about the future. Boredom, nothing stimulating or exciting happening. Loneliness, lack of deep social connections or companionship. Sadness, feeling down due to life circumstances. Guilt, regret over past choices or mistakes. Shame, feeling unworthy, inadequate or judged. Frustration, stuck in a situation with no immediate solution. Resentment, holding on to anger or bitterness towards someone or something. Hopelessness, feeling stuck like nothing will change. Now you might know instantly which negative emotions you're running away from, or it might take a bit of time to figure out. When you know better, you do better. And while we can look to these big corporations and fast food companies to shift the blame, at the end of the day, these uncomfortable emotions you're continuing to run from. And when we're no longer able to change the situation, we're challenged to change ourselves. The only way we can break our vices and gain the ability to move into a better life is to understand which emotions we're running from and solve them at the root. So let's talk about how to do that. The biggest change I made to rid myself of my vices was move cities. I changed job, which helped me find new purpose. I moved close to a gym so I could start exercising, and that helped with my boredom. I was close to family again, which helped with my anxiety. These new positive emotions like hope, connection, optimism now served as a counterweight to my once heavily one-sided scale. Now I know not everyone can move cities, but we can all make change and take action. The truth is, the only thing we can do is take action. So if you want to start to take accountability and be someone that can stand on his own 2 feet, then here's the actions I'd recommend you take. We need to first understand which emotions we're avoiding. And we do this by simply learning to be aware, understanding what signals our body is sending. What time of the day do you usually binge eat or order food when you shouldn't? And what are the main emotions that are driving that action? We can't find a solution until we figure out what the problem is. So once it's found, we need to figure out what's the easiest, least resistant action we can take to combat that emotion. Now I'm a big believer that the bigger the action or change that you make, the more positive impact it'll have on your life. Sometimes radical change like moving cities is essential because it forces you to adapt. But I'm also well aware if we set the bar too high, then we're never even going to attempt to jump it. So the second best option is decide on the easiest, least resistant action we can take to start combating this emotion. Now I'll admit I'm a bit biased, but I think there's no greater action to take than weight training at the gym. It's flexible, so you can choose when to go and how to do it. You're in a room full of other people that are working on the same pursuits as you, so it ticks that social box. And you're building muscle, which is going to make you stronger, more confident, and more attractive. That alone can be enough to break a bad vice. And finally, adapt. Your first solution won't be the best. Nobody's is. But if you know what you don't enjoy, then eventually you're left with the one thing you do enjoy. So if the gym doesn't work, then try a fitness class. And if that doesn't work, try a run class, then a chess class, then hell, a musical instrument. Just the act of continuously trying new things is going to give you a sense of adventure, and it's also going to increase your skill of agency. The ability to take action and choose what actions to take. You become someone who's got control of his life, but more importantly, control of his vices. If you guys want to grab 31 actionable habits and lessons that I've learned over the last 7 years of fitness, it's down in the description below. It's a perfect place to start, and it's going to also serve as a bit of daily accountability when you do start to make these changes. Otherwise, if I've convinced you to start at the gym, this video right here is a full guide on how to get started. It's going to give you everything you need to know, so check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon. Cheers, gents.